Hello to all my wonderful champions out there. So today is day 5 and today we are going to solve questions from 2 chapters, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plants and also animal kingdom, my dear children. And before getting into that, it's high time to solve a lot of mock tests, and if you're not able to find a good mock test, we are giving it for free. You can take utilization, you can make utilization of this. Only 5 mock tests are there, but it was definitely going to help you out. If you have not registered, you can go to the link in the description box and register yourself and get access to it. I'm going to tell you, it's very important for you to have a good amount of practice, and you should not be directly going ahead with very difficult question papers. So there are so many mock tests out there in the market, you know, and some are so difficult it makes you feel demotivated. Okay, so make sure you're not just randomly going anywhere and doing anything like that. Take an informed decision. You shouldn't be knowing where are you spending your time at least when you do not have much amount of your time. So please make sure you are utilizing this part of your body. Yes, and my dear children, if you think that I'm going to help you really well, okay, if you think that I am helping you, you can put it down in the comment section, whatever help you want more. For example, if you have any doubts, please put it down. Not think that what will others think of me. I am here to help you with anything that comes up. Yeah, so yes, let's get into the chapters. No more talking. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Here goes the first question. The plant parts which consist of 2 generations, one within the another one. What do you call this? Plant part that contains 2 generations, one within the another. Okay, so pollen grains inside the anther. So anther is where anther is known as sporophyte stage. Yeah, because it is going to form the spores out there, microspores. Yeah, and now basically the microspores will form what? Pollen grains, and within the pollen grains, what do you have? You have pollen grain is a gametophyte stage. It is going to form the gametes. So I can say yes, this is one such thing like that, where you have a sporophyte stage over here, sporophyte stage, and this is what the gametophyte stage that you have. It is going to form the gametes in there. So one generation within the another one, totally correct. Germinated pollen grains with 2 male gametes. Here there's only one generation. There's only gametophyte stage. They don't they are just producing gametes, my dear children, nothing else. So pollen grain produces gametes. Fine. Both of them gametophyte stage. So I'll say wrong. Okay, this is wrong. Now seed inside the fruit. Again, seed inside the fruit, my dear children. Seed is basically, technically what? Inside the seed, what do you have? You have the embryo. Inside the seed you have the embryo, and that does not count to be something like that. That is, embryo is what? Embryo is sporophyte stage. Embryo is sporophyte stage. Fruit is also what? Sporophyte stage. It is not gametophyte. So there is no gametophytes up over here. Again wrong. Embryo sac inside the ovule. Again, ovule is what? Ovule is a place where the megaspores are going to be produced, right? So I'll say this is a sporophyte stage. Okay, what about the embryo sac? Embryo sac is where the female gamete is being produced. So can I say it is the gametophyte stage? I can say that. So I'll say both this and this is correct. 1 and 4, both of them would be correct. Okay. Next, in water hyacinth and water lily, pollination takes place by insects or wind, water currents only, wind and water, insects and water. What will be your answer for that? In water hyacinth and water lily, even though in the name there is water, but they actually do not pollinate by water. Please understand that. You know, you might have seen the flowers are above the water level, or probably they might be like this. There is no chance of pollination by water. There, insects can pollinate. Yeah, or even wind can do the job. Wind or insect, nothing else. So it is not water currents. Wherever you see water, cut it down, cut it down, cut it down. You just have this option to be told as the correct option. Insects or wind. Cool. Next question. Which is the most common type of embryo sac in angiosperms? In angiosperm, which is the most common type of embryo sacs? Right. So tetrasporic with 1 mitotic stage of division. My dear children, how do you get the embryo sac? Basically, you have one megaspore mother cell. This megaspore mother cell does 1 meiotic division. You get 2 cells. So from 2n, it became n. Again, they divide. You get n and n. They divide. You get n and n. This is what meiosis 2. At the end, how many megaspores do you have? You have 4 megaspores. But do all of them form the embryo sac? No, only one of them. So can I say it's monosporic development? Yes, I can say it is monosporic development. I have 2 options like that. Rest of the options I will be cutting it out. Yeah. Now this spore which is there, my dear children, what happens? It will enlarge. yeah, and the nucleus which is there, it will undergo mitotic division thrice. So one time it divides, you got 2 cells. These 2 cells again will divide into 2. That means 4 cells. Yeah, not 4 cells, exactly 4 nucleus. Yeah, again they will divide into 2. Again you get total of 8 nucleus. 8 nucleus will be there. Right, so 3 sequential mitotic division was there, which is how you got 8 nucleus. And how they are arranged, 3 of them arranged like this, they are antibodal cells. Okay, 3 of them arranged like this, and these 2 are synergids, and 1 will be what, basically the X cell out there, and 2 nucleus is just here lying around here. This is a big cell, that is central cell. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 nucleus is there. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, they are all guarded by the cell wall, and over here you have the central cell also, which is guarded by its own cell wall out there. So 7 cell but 8 nucleuses are there. Please remember that. So it is monosporic with 3 sequential mitotic division. That becomes the answer for this, not 2 sequential. Okay. Next, what type of pollination takes place in Vallisneria? What is Vallisneria? Vallisneria is a water plant. It's there in the water. So pollination occurs in submerged condition by water. Is it submerged? No, my dear children. The flowers reach out the top. It is not submerged condition. That is Zoosterra. Okay, you have in your book 2 examples. One is Vallisneria, another one is Zoosterra. So Vallisneria is not in the submerged condition. So this is wrong. Flowers emerge above the surface of water, and pollination occurs by insects. Flowers emerge above the surface of water, pollination occurs by insect. Wrong, not by insects, it's by water itself. Flowers emerge above water surface and pollen is carried by wind, again not wind. Male flowers are carried by water currents to female flowers at the surface of water, exactly. Okay, water currents have a major role to play over here, and that is how pollination happens. So I'll say this is the only correct option out there. Next, a dioecious flowering plant prevents both. What do you mean by dioecious flowering plants? Dioecious means the sexes are separate on 2 different plants. This one will be having, suppose, female flowers. This one would be having, suppose, male flowers. So over here, what all does it prevent? Okay, do you think autogamy can happen over here? Autogamy, do you think it can happen over here, my dear children? Basically, autogamy is when pollen grains from here to here it goes, right? But over here, you do not have the thing that produces pollen grains. It's a female plant, that's a male plant. So do you think autogamy can happen? Autogamy cannot happen. Now what about gytonogamy? Gytonogamy is basically between 2 flowers of the same plant. If pollination is happening, that is known as gytonogamy. Can that happen? Again, you do not have the pollen producing stuff over here. So gytonogamy cannot happen as well. What about xenogamy? Xenogamy means pollination between 2 plants. Okay, pollination between 2 flowers of 2 separate plants. From here to here, pollen grains can come and fertilize and do things. So that is fine. Okay, so that is fine. That is known as xenogamy. So xenogamy can happen, but autogamy and gytonogamy cannot happen. Please remember that. In dioecious plants, autogamy and gytonogamy cannot happen. Example, papaya. Okay. Gytonogamy and xenogamy wrong. Cleistogamy and xenogamy. Cleistogamy is basically talking about autogamy itself. Okay, so yes. Now, which of the following statement is not correct? Pollen germination and pollen tube growth are regulated by chemical components of pollen interacting with those of the pistil. So you have the pistil, right? And there is pollen grain. If both of them matches, if there is chemical coordination is going out really smooth, that's when pollen will be germinating and pollen tube will be forming out there. So this is correct. You're asked what is not correct. Now some reptiles have also been reported as pollinators in some plant species. Yes, even it's not just bees and birds, also reptiles, also some lizards and stuff like that, they also act like what? Pollinators in some plant species, so that is also correct. Now pollen grains of many species can germinate on the stigma of a flower, but only one pollen tube of the same species grows into the style. So suppose there is the stigma over here, this and this is of my species, okay, the same species. This and this is some other species, my dear children. Here it is saying that even though it's of the same species, only one can form the pollen tube. Is it correct or false? It is false. Multiples of them, they can basically form the pollen tube. So this would be a wrong statement. Okay, it will be a wrong. So this is incorrect. Now insects that consume pollen or nectar without bringing about pollination are known as pollen or nectar robbers. Yes, my dear children, they are known as robbers. So what is the only correct answer that you have over here? Well, only incorrect option that you have over here, it is this, because it's not just one thing that goes into the style. It can be multiple pollen tubes that goes into the style. Fine. Next, proximal end of the filament of stamen is attached to. So you have the filament, yeah, and the anther. This is the anther and this is the filament. The whole thing forms stamen, right? Over here at this particular position you have this distal position, and over here you have what? The proximal end of the filament. So where do you think there's a proximal end of the filament located? It is going to be attached to the thalamus or probably the petal or things like that. Okay, so proximal end of the filament of the stamen is attached to the thalamus or petal, not to the placenta, not to the anther, not to the connective tissue. Okay, always remember anther is towards distal end. So I'll say it is thalamus or petal. B becomes your answer. Going ahead with the next thing. The hilum is a scar on the hilum that you see is the scar on what, my dear children? So basically, if you see, this is the ovary. Suppose, just a second. This is the ovary. This is the ovule that you have. Here is the placenta, and placenta is connected to the ovule through the help of, with the help of what? Funicle. And here it leaves a scar, and this scar is known as hilum. This scar is known as hilum. So basically this ovule, my dear children, ovule, what will happen? After fertilization, it is the one that will be becoming the seed. Okay, so basically hilum would be what? A scar on the seed. Okay, please remember that. So hilum is a scar on the fruit where style was present, wrong. Seed where micropyle was present. Micropyle is what, my dear children? A pore through which the pollen tube is going to enter. So that is a separate thing. A scar and a pore is different. Scar is scar, pore is what? A hole, right there. So seed where funicle was attached, yes, I told you. Fruit where it was attached to pedicel, no. Your only answer becomes C. Now, geitonogamy involves what? What do you mean by geitonogamy? Geitonogamy, I told you, same flower, sorry, same plant, two flowers. Suppose it's like this. From here to here, if fertilization is happening, my dear children, this is an example of what? Geitonogamy, between two flowers of the same plant. So, fertilization of a flower by the pollen from another flower of the same plant. Yes, okay, fertilization of flower by the pollen from the same flower, that would be autogamy. Here to here, if it's happening, it's autogamy. Wrong. Fertilization of a flower by the pollen from a flower of another plant in the same population. Fertilization of a flower by the pollen from a flower of another plant belonging to a distant population. Your only answer is unisexuality of flowers prevents what? So, unisexuality of flowers, my dear children, I'll say, suppose this particular flower is female flower. This particular flower is a male flower. In this case, obviously autogamy is not going to happen because it does not have its own partner over here. But geitonogamy can still happen. Right, geitonogamy can still happen. So, if it is unisexual flowers like this, that each flowers are unisexual, you are not talking about unisexual plants or things like that, right? You are not talking about unisexual plants, so you cannot generalize. If it is talking about unisexual plants, my dear children, I will say basically it just has one sex. You're talking about unisexual flowers, so here one flower can have this sex, another flower can have another sex. In that case, if you're taking that generalization, my dear children, I'd say that geitonogamy can still happen, but autogamy is not going to happen. So geitonogamy but not xenogamy, wrong. Xenogamy can happen anyways, okay. Autogamy and geitonogamy, autogamy but not geitonogamy. It prevents what? Autogamy. Yes, it prevents autogamy, but can it prevent geitonogamy, my dear children? No. So your answer will become what? Which one of the following statements regarding post-fertilization development in flowering plants is incorrect? Which one of the following statements regarding post-fertilization development? Post-fertilization development, my dear children. So ovules develop into embryo sac. Wrong. That's wrong, right? So inside the ovule, you have the embryo sac. Right, so that would be totally wrong. After post-fertilization, what will happen to the ovule? Ovule will become the seed. And what happens to the embryo sac within? In the embryo sac, the embryo is being formed, right? So that is why there's a covering that is known as seed. So it's totally wrong. Ovary develops into fruit. Yes, if you're talking about ovary, which is there, it will be developing into fruit. The ovule which was there, it is developing into a seed. So zygote develops into an embryo. Post-fertilization events, my dear children, yes. Ovary develops into fruit, correct. Central cell develops into endosperm. So in the, if you remember the embryo sac, right? If you remember the embryo sac, you had 3 cells, antipodal cells, 2 cells which are synergids and 1 egg cell, and there are 2 polar nuclei. So what happens? The male gamete, there are 2 male gametes being coming. Obviously remember, in all pollen grains there are 2 male gametes that comes. One male gamete will come and fertilize with the female gamete out over here. The second male gamete will come and fertilize with the 2 polar nuclei. Okay, the second male gamete comes and fertilizes the 2 polar nuclei, and here you get something that is known as endosperm. And here what you got was known as zygote. So the endosperm is going to help in the zygote, to form what? The embryo. It helps provide nourishment. Okay, so I'll say central cell develops into endosperm. That is also correct. This is the only one that's wrong. Ovules develop into embryo sac. Fine. Next, perisperm differs from endosperm in. How does perisperm differ from endosperm, my dear? What do you think is perisperm? So I told you about ovule. Inside the ovule you have the embryo sac. Initially inside the ovule, no, you had cells of the nucellus. Cells of the nucellus, just normal cells out there. Yeah, and one such cell underwent division, underwent meiosis, and formed the megaspore, and the megaspore developed into embryo sac and things like that. Okay, and in the embryo sac, all these things were happening. This endosperm formation happens in the embryo sac. So, my dear children, when I say that it is a result of meiosis, it is a result of meiosis. So, basically, can I say in the embryo sac, when you talk about the cells of the embryo sac, this is haploid, this is haploid, this is haploid. All of them are going to be haploid cells. Yes, because you are getting it from meiosis, and meiosis reduction happens. It was starting from 2n stage. When the cell starts dividing, my dear children, undergoes meiosis, it was 2n, it became n and n, again it divides, it became n and n here. It's the same n and n. This is meiosis 1 and this is meiosis 2. So over here you get 4 cells, all of them haploid. One cell is going to develop into the embryo sac later on, right? So, oh, and I want to tell you something over here. So, the embryo sac, whatever thing is there over here, they're all haploid, yeah, except the central cell. Because in the central cell, you have 2 nucleus. You have 2 nucleus, right? So, this n comes together, you get 2n. So, central cell is 2n, and one male gamete comes together, it becomes 3n. It is triploid. It is what? Triploid in nature. That is central cell, the one that forms endosperm. Okay. So, initially the central cell was 2n. It fused with the male gamete, it became 3n. And what is it forming after the fusion? It is forming the endosperm. So, I will say endosperm is triploid. Central cell might be diploid, but endosperm, which is formed by fusion of central cell and a male gamete, is going to be triploid. Okay, now talking about the perisperm, the cells over here, it is, I told you, it's the cells of the nucellus, and they are just normal cells, right? So, they all will be diploid. They are not triploid, they will be diploid. So, perisperm differs from endosperm in being a diploid tissue. Yes, perisperm is a diploid tissue, and endosperm is what? A triploid tissue. Now, its formation by fusion of secondary nucleus with several sperms, wrong. Being a haploid tissue, wrong. Having no reserve food, wrong. First of all, whenever you are solving this type of question, understand that you are asking about its feature. You are being told about this particular thing's feature, not about the endosperm. So, perisperm differs from endosperm in being what? In being a diploid tissue. So, your answer becomes A. Next thing, the polyembryony commonly occurs in. Polyembryony means multiple embryos are going to be formed within one particular ovule. This particular thing happens when or in which particular fruits? Tomato, potato, citrus fruits, or probably turmeric? Your answer is citrus. Your answer is citrus. So, I just told you about the nucleus cells over here, right? So, what happens is that usually you have the male gamete and female gamete fusing together and forming things like that. So, here you have all of them, but without, sometimes what happens is that this particular cells which are there, they might be still persisting. Okay, I forgot to tell you, this forms the perisperm, and perisperm provides nourishment also. Okay, that is the role of perisperm. It is found in 2 plants. It is beet and black pepper. Beet and black pepper. Okay, now over here, in the case of what polyembryony, what happens is that the cells of the nucleus, they will be entering into the ovule, and they will be forming what? Not ovule, the embryo sac, yeah, and they will be forming multiple embryos out there, and this is known as polyembryony. And where do you see it? You see it in citrus plants. Okay, yes. Next question. Male gametophyte in angiosperms produce dash, a single sperm and 2 vegetative cells. Hey, wait. Male gametophyte in angiosperm produces A is single sperm and 2 vegetative cells, 3 sperms, 2 sperms and 1 vegetative cell, single sperm and a vegetative cell. So please understand, when we talk about male gametophyte, you're talking about pollen grain. And in pollen grain, what do you have, my dear children? You have a big vegetative cell, which is like this, yeah, and then you have one generative cell. What happens in over here? They will be dividing into 2 cells. That means you are going to give rise to 2 male gametes. You are going to give rise to what? 2 male gametes. So male gametophyte in angiosperm produces what? It will be producing 2 gametes, that is 2 sperms, and also a vegetative cell, which is right over here. Okay, and basically you say it is shut down in 2 stages. Some angiosperm, 60% of the angiosperm, they shut down in 2 cell stage. That means they will be having vegetative cell and a generative cell. The generative cell might have not divided yet. So 60% of them, they go like that. Okay, and when they reach the pollen, pistil, that's when they divide. Now 40% of them, they will be going in 3 cell stage, where there will be vegetative cell as well as 2 gametes along with it. Just for a quick understanding, that's all. Now, which one of the following statement is correct? Clistogamous flowers are always autogamous. What do you mean by clistogamous flowers? So there are 2 types of flowers, my dear children. Clisto as in they are always closed. So basically the female and male reproductive part are like this, and they are always closed. Okay, and talking about chasmogamous flowers, they would be open. They would be open like this. Okay, so clistogamous flowers are always autogamous. Autogamous means from here to here fertilization will be happening. Is it true? Yes. Do they have any option? Can they undergo gynoigamy or xenogamy, things like that? No. So yes, they are always autogamous, and they assure seed set. They would be having for sure seed set. So I'll say seed set assurance is there. Okay, that is correct. Now xenogamy occurs only by wind pollination. It can happen by insect pollination. Xenogamy means 2 plants, right? So it can happen through wind or insect or whatever you have. So this is wrong. Chasmogamous flowers do not open at all. Chasmogamous, they are open always. Clistogamous, Cl for clisto, Cl for closed. So chasmogamous flowers do not open at all would be wrong statement. Gynoigamy involves the pollen and the stigma of flowers of different plants. Gynoigamy, do you think it involves the pollen and stigma of flowers of different plants? Gynoigamy involves the pollen and stigma of different plants. No, it's the same plant, right? So that will also be wrong. So only correct statement that you have is A. Okay children, I hope you're back from the break, and let's get ahead with animal kingdom. So the first question up here is, consider following features: organ system, level of organization, bilateral symmetry, okay, true coelomates with segmentation of body. Now these are the 3 things that are given. Select the correct option of animal groups which possesses all the above characters. Organ system, level of organization basically starts from Aschelminthes. Okay, we say in the initial part of the chapter it is written that until Platyhelminthes it is just organ level of organ level of organization, yeah, and after that it is what? Organ system level of organization, which you see from Aschelminthes, my dear children. So Aschelminthes, annelids, arthropods, mollusks, and all of them, they have it. Okay, but the later part of the chapter it is written that Platyhelminthes has both organ and organ system level of organization. Please keep that also in mind. Now bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry means you can cut them into equal halves only through one plane. That is what you mean by bilateral symmetry. And what are those organisms that shows this? Again, when you talk about from Platyhelminthes, yeah, from Platyhelminthes all are bilaterally symmetrical. Okay, they would be all bilaterally symmetrical. You have radial symmetry in Ctenophora as well as, so what do you call it as, cnidarians. Okay, and you have acoelomates, where it's not acoelomates, asymmetrical organism, that is poriferans. So bilateral symmetry again starts from platyhelminthes, aschelminthes, annelids, arthropods, everyone is included. Now true coelomates, over here you cannot categorize platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes are acoelomates. Okay, what about aschelminthes? They are pseudocoelomates. Now after that you have annelids, arthropods and chordata. Yeah, they are that is annelids, arthropods, mollusca, echinodermata, hemichordata, chordata, they all coelomates. But if you're talking about segmentation of the body, that is only shown by 3 of them, and that is annelids, okay, that is arthropods and also chordates. So your answer for this question becomes this. So until this, I think mollusca and everyone were matching. Okay, mollusca, echinodermata, hemichordata, chordata, all of them were matching. But over here, when they say that there was segmentation of the body, that does not match exactly. Okay, and I also want to tell you one more thing. Echinodermata, they have their adult body has radial symmetry and their larval forms has bilateral symmetry. Remember that also. So the only ones with true segmentation are these 3. Now, which of the following animals are true coelomates with bilateral symmetry? True coelomates, my dear children, again they have to be coelomates. Coelomates runs from annelids, not aschelminthes. Okay, aschelminthes pseudocoelomates, yeah, and platyhelminthes acoelomates, and all the other guys also acoelomates, poriferans, cnidarians, pterophorans, all of them are acoelomates, right? Now, coelomates starts from annelids, yeah, and now we are talking about bilateral symmetry also. We can be cut into equal halves. Okay, that is only through one plane, that is bilateral symmetry. So adult echinoderms, I told you, it is what? Radial symmetry. They are what? Radial symmetry. And aschelminthes, they have pseudocoelomes, so they are not true coelomates. And platyhelminthes, they are acoelomates. So what are we left with? We are left with annelids, and that becomes your answer. So the answer for this question is D. Next question. Which one of the following statements about certain given animals is correct? Roundworms are pseudocoelomates. Correct. Yes, pseudocoelomates means basically you have ectoderm, my dear children, that is the outermost layer. Then you have endoderm. In between you have mesoderm, right? And if suppose there is a cavity in the mesoderm, basically this cavity is lined by the mesodermal cell, so I'll call this a true cavity. Okay, I call this organism as true coelomates. Fine. Suppose there are cavities, there are pouches like cavities, and they are not entirely lined by mesoderm. What do I call? Anyway, cavity is there, but it's not entirely lined by mesoderm, so I'll call them false coelomates. Okay, pseudocoelomates. And roundworms or aschelminthes are pseudocoelomates. There is no doubt about it. So that is correct. Now mollusks are acoelomates, wrong. After aschelminthes, all are coelomates, my dear children. Insects are pseudocoelomates. Insects comes under arthropods, so they have to be coelomates, yeah. Flatworms are coelomates. Flatworms are acoelomates, do not have the coelom. So in them, the mesoderm is entirely like that, there is no cavity at all. That is why they are known as acoelomates, along with poriferans, along with cnidarians, along with ctenophora. Okay. Next. Match the following columns and select the correct options. So over here, you have certain options, my dear children. 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits, where do you find it? 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits. I say it is found in cyclostomes, okay, the one that have rounded circular mouth without jaws, yeah. Heterocircle caudal fin, okay, the last fin which is there, it is uneven. One might be big, another one might be small. This is heterocircle. Who does have it? It is chondrichthyes, okay, the cartilaginous fishes who have it. Now air bladder, my dear children, air bladder is definitely needed for osteichthyes. Okay, osteichthyes, they are made up of bones. If they do not have air bladder, probably they would be sinking down. So that is why we have air bladder in osteichthyes, the bony fishes. Now poison sting is found in trigon. So if I have to match up, how will I match up? Let's see. So this goes with cyclostomes. 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits goes with cyclostomes. Heterocircle caudal fin goes with chondrichthyes. Air bladder goes with osteichthyes, and poison sting goes with trigon. So A goes with 2. A goes with 2, my dear children. Okay, I have just one option like that, and with that one option, probably I can find the entire answer. Now, if you suppose you do not remember everything, so poison sting, trigon is something that is quite famous, and air bladder with osteichthyes is also famous. So D goes with 1, I just have 2 options like that, and C goes with 4, I just have 1 option like that. With that, I would be probably able to answer it. Yeah? Now, going ahead, which of the following statements are true for the phylum Chordata? Let's see. So, in Urochordata, Notochord extends from head to tail and it is present throughout their life. In chordata you have 3, okay? Urochordata, cephalochordata, and then you have vertebrata, my dear children. In urochordata they have the notochord only in the tail, and that too only during embryonic stage, not throughout their life. So this would be entirely wrong. In vertebrata, notochord is present during the embryonic period only. That is correct. In vertebrata, notochord is there during the embryonic period. Post that, it will be replaced by the vertebral column. So this is correct. Now, central nervous system is dorsal and hollow. Basically, nerve cord is dorsal and hollow in the case of chordates. That is correct. It's a very big thing, right? In the case of invertebrates or non-chordate, my dear children, it is ventral in position. We have it dorsal, okay? Now, chordata is divided into 3 subphylum: hemichordata, tunicata, cephalochordata. Wrong. It's not hemichordata. Hemichordates are not chordates, okay? They are outside chordates. There's a different phylum. Now, phylum chordata is divided into 3 subphylum, that is urochordata, which is also known as tunicata, and then cephalochordata, and then vertebrata, as I told you. So this becomes the wrong option. So what do we have as a right option? B and C. B and C, that is D. This is the right answer that we have. Now, going ahead to the next thing. Match the following columns and select the correct option. Select the correct option, let's see. Gregarious polyphagous pest. And over here you have asterias and scorpion, antinoplana and locusta. Locust is one big pest. You know what, it hunted lots of plants in the previous year. Yeah, I suppose it was a big problem because of them. So A goes with 4. A goes with 4. Do you have an option like that? I just have one option like that, and with that I would probably get my answer. Let's see. So adult with radial symmetry and larva with bilateral symmetry. Echinodermata, my dear children, adults basically, they have radial symmetry. They can be cut down into equal halves through any plane which passes through the center, okay? And the larval forms, they have bilateral symmetry, so it will be asterias. Asterias is what? Starfish, which is an echinodermata. So B goes with 1. Now, book lungs, my dear children, it's book lungs, book gills, all of them are part of insects. And over here, apart from, not insects, I mean arthropods, yeah? So apart from locusta, we have one more arthropod, and that is scorpion, and that goes for scorpion. Bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is found only in what? Ctenophora, and Ctenoplana is an example of that. That is very easy example. So if you know D, D goes with 3, then probably then also you can find the answer easily, okay, because there is only one option with like that. Identify the vertebrate group of animals characterized by crop and gizzard in its digestive system. You have crop and gizzard, that is storage unit, and also gizzard, where basically there will be pellets in there, and that will be helping in the breakdown of food and stuff like that. Where do you find crop and gizzard? In the digestive system. Amphibians, reptilia, aves and ostrichthys. Your answer is aves. You find it in aves, okay? Next, important characteristics that hemichordates share with chordates is what? Hemichordates and chordates, my dear children. What is that character that they share? Ventral tubular nerve cord. Chordates have dorsal, yeah, and pharynx with gill slits. Do we share it with them? Yes, even they have it, even we have it. So that is correct. Pharynx without gill slits, wrong. Absence of notochord. Important, we have notochord, right? And this notochord is replaced by vertebral column later on. And in some chordates, it is not even replaced. So basically, absence of notochord is not a feature of chordates. So it is not a common character that you can share with hemichordates, okay? And and also remember, in hemichordata, instead of notochord, they have stomochord. They have what? Stomochord. So your answer for this question is this. This is something that we share commonly with both hemichordata and chordates. Next, in case of porphyrin, the spongiocele is lined with flagellated cells called. So spongiocele is basically in between. For example, this is a whole sponge, right? There is a cavity in between, and this spongiocele is lined by certain cells, okay, which has flagella. What do you call these cells as? You call these cells as choanocytes, my dear children. Choanocytes. So whatever food and everything comes in, they trap it inside and break it down. So they are also known as collar cells. They are also known as collar cells. Since the flagella, they look like a collar out there, okay? So basically, your answer for this question becomes choanocytes. Now, going ahead, which of the following characteristics features always holds true for corresponding group of animals? Okay, possesses a mouth with an upper and a lower jaw. Chordata. In chordata, you have organisms that do not have jaw, that is egnatans. Okay, for example, what do you call it, petromycin, mixin and things like that. Yeah, so that is wrong. It's not entirely true. Three-chambered heart with one incompletely divided ventricle in reptilia. Not all reptiles have three-chambered heart, my dear children. There is crocodile which have four-chambered heart. So again, that is wrong. It's not true for all of them. Cartilaginous endoskeleton for chondrichthyes. Yes, they definitely had. Chondrichthyes, the name came because basically their endoskeleton within them, okay, the endoskeleton which is there, it is made up of cartilage, and that is correct. Viviparous organism, mammalia. Viviparous as in the one who give birth directly. In mammals, do you think all of them are viviparous? No, platypus is an example, which is an egg-laying mammal. So again, this is wrong. So what is your correct answer, my dear children? You just have one, and that is C. And that would be C. Next, a jawless fish which lays eggs in fresh water and whose amosystes larvae, okay, there is larvae, after metamorphosis returns to the ocean. So it lays egg in the fresh water, and then, my dear children, the larvae metamorphosize and then returns back to ocean. Where do you see that? And this is a jawless fish. So over here, certain names are given: neomyxin, petromycin, Tritus, okay, or mixin. All of them, they are jawless, but they all do not show this kind of feature, okay. Only pteromycin or petromycin, okay, petromycin is the one that would be showing this type of feature, where they are gonna lay egg in the fresh water and then come back in the oceans, okay, after metamorphosis. So basically, B is your answer, okay. Now, 11th question. Planaria possesses high capacity of what? What is planaria? Planaria is a platyhelminthes. And planaria is quite famous for doing this, which I am going to tell. Basically, suppose this is a planaria that you have over here, my dear children. This planaria, they can cut into pieces, and basically from one particular piece they can rejuvenate or basically regenerate the whole new planaria again. This is known as regeneration capacity. Okay, this is known as regeneration capacity. So planaria possesses a high capacity of metamorphosis, no. Regeneration, yes. Alternation of generation, no. Bioluminescence, no. The only answer is B. Okay, so which of the following are correctly matched with respect to the taxonomic classification? Let's see. So over here we have housefly, we have butterfly, we have sassafly, we have silverfish. So silverfish, don't think it's a fish. It will be very wrong to think it's a fish. It's not a fish, it's an insect. So it comes under insecta, and that is totally correct. So first option itself is correct. But we have to go ahead with the next options, yeah. Spiny anteaters, sea urchin and sea cucumber, my dear children, do they come under echinoderms? No, they do not. So that would be a wrong statement. Okay, all of them have different categories of phylum. Flying fish, okay, and cuttlefish. Cuttlefish is basically what? The octopus and things like that, yeah. And silverfish is an insect. Again, that is put under Pisces, that is fishes, it will be wrong. Okay, centipede, millipede, spider and scorpion under insecta, wrong again. They come under arachnids and other things, right? So this would be again wrong. Few of them, both of them come under arachnid, another one come under other classes, but not insecta. So only one is being correctly matched, and that is this. The characteristics of class Reptilia are body covered with moist reptilia, okay, please remember it's reptilia. Body covered with moist skin which is devoid of scales. The ear is represented by a tympanum, that is the eardrum, yeah. Alimentary canal, urinary bladder and reproductive tracts open into a common cloaca, and that I feel is a feature of what? Amphibians, my dear children. You're talking about reptiles, so reptiles, so this is wrong. Now, freshwater animals with bony endoskeleton, air bladder to regulate buoyancy, that would be what? Osteichthyes, right? Marine animals with cartilaginous endoskeleton, body covered with placoid scales, again my cartilaginous endoskeleton, that means chondrichthyes, wrong. Fishes. Now body covered with dry and cornified skin, scales over the body are epidermal, they do not have external ears. This is class Reptilia's characteristics. So this becomes your answer. Next, which one of the following groups of animals reproduces only by sexual means? Cnidaria, Porifera, Protozoa, Ctenophora. What do you think? Which one of them only reproduces by sexual means? My dear children, it will be Ctenophora. Ctenophora has only sexual reproduction, there is no asexual reproduction up there. Please remember, okay, this is one very important characteristics of Ctenophora. Ctenophora as in comb jellies. They are bioluminescent. They have combs like structures around there, eight ciliated bands and stuff like that. So it is very, very important. So this becomes your answer. Okay. Next, which one of the following categories of animals is correctly described with no single exception in it? Okay. All reptiles possess scales, have a 3-chambered heart and are cold-blooded. I told you, all of them do not have a 3-chambered heart. All bony fishes have 4 pairs of gills and operculum on each side. Okay. All sponges are marine and have collared cells. Not all sponges are marine. There are freshwater also, such as spongula. So this is wrong. All mammals are viviparous and possess diaphragm for breathing. My dear children, viviparity is a feature of most of the mammals, but not all of them. I told you platypus is an egg-laying mammal, so again wrong. So all bony fishes have 4 pairs of gills and operculum on each side. This is something that is very much followed. Okay, so there is no exception to it. So that is correct. Now, what will you look for to identify the sex of the following? Female Ascaris, sharply curved posterior end. Wrong. That is male Ascaris. Okay, that roundworm basically which has a sharply curved posterior end. It is the female ones would be having straight. Okay, here it will be curved in the case of males, not females. This is wrong. Male frog, a copulatory pad on the first digit of the hind limb. Wrong. Copulatory pad is there definitely in the male frog, my dear children, but it is not on the first digit of the hind limb but in the forelimb. So this is again wrong. Female cockroach is anal cerci. Both of them, male and female, have anal cerci. So anal cerci. So basically we cannot identify which is male and which is female because both of them have it. Male shark, claspers born on the pelvic fins. Exactly correct. Okay, they have claspers which are born on the pelvic fins, and this is how you can identify male shark. Now, which one of the following statement is totally wrong about the occurrence of notochord while the other 3 are correct? So we have to find the wrong statement. Okay, it's just there to confuse you guys. So it is present only in the larval tail in Assyrian. Just give me a second. Okay, we have to find the wrong one, right? Yeah. So this is correct. It is Assyrian as in you're talking about Unicase, Urochordata. Okay. Now it is replaced by vertebral column in adult frog. Yes. Okay, because they are vertebrates. Okay. Wait. Yeah, they are vertebrates. So it is replaced by vertebral column in the adult frogs, correct. It is absent throughout life in humans from the very beginning. No, it is there. Notochord is there in the embryonic stage and later it is replaced by the vertebral column. So this is wrong. Human beings are what, my dear children? We are vertebrates. We are chordates. We are vertebrates. So it is there in us, but it is replaced by the vertebral column once we are not embryo anymore. Yeah. So it is present throughout life in Amphioxus. Amphioxus or basically cephalochordata have it from head to tail region, notochord, and it is there throughout the life, so that is also correct. So only incorrect statement that we have is C. Is what? C. Okay. Next question. The figures shows 4 animals. Select the correct option with respect to a common characteristics of 2 of these animals. So this is flatworm. Okay. This is coming under Cnidaria, my dear children. Yeah, and this is what again Cnidarians only, and this would be what arthropods, right? They come under arthropods. So you have flatworms, that is Platyhelminthes, Cnidarians, and then you have this particular thing, that is what? Sorry, this is not. Oh my God, how did I say Cnidarian? This is mollusca. This is what? Mollusk. You're talking about octopus. Right, an octopus comes under mollusk. So please remember that. It's so sorry. It appeared to me like that. So it is Platyhelminthes. This one is what do you call Cnidarian, and this one is mollusk, and this one would be what? A arthropod. Now we have to find what is what. So basically A and D respire mainly through body wall. A and D, they respire through body wall. No, not both of them. Not both of them. Wrong. B and C show radial symmetry. B and C, my dear children. B definitely shows radial symmetry, but C, which is mollusk, they do not show radial symmetry, they show bilateral symmetry. Wrong. Now A and B have cnidoblast for self-defense. A and B. Cnidoblasts are feature of Cnidarians, my dear children. It is not a Cnidarian, it's a flatworm, so this is again wrong. C and D have a true coelom. C and D. Mollusk and Cnidarians, do they have a true coelom? Yes. Coelomic cavity starts off from annelids, arthropods, mollusks, echinodermata, hemichordata, chordata, all of them have true coelom. So this is the only correct answer that we have. Okay, works. Chalo. What do you have to find out? What are the correct options, right? B and C shows. No. Your correct answer is not this. Your correct answer would be this. C and D have a. No, wait. C and D. I meant it for B. I'm sorry. Just a second. C and D having a true coulomb. Yes, that is correct. Okay, did I say C and B first and I was talking about this? I hope not, children. Okay, I'll just sum this up. Okay, explain it to you really quick. I'm so sorry if there is any confusion. Listen to me. This is platyhelminthes, this is a cnidarian, this is a mollusk, and this is an arthropod, right? Now over here, A and D respire mainly through body wall, that is A and D, not both of them, so I would say this is wrong. Now B and C show radial symmetry. B and C, my dear children. B is a cnidarian, it shows radial symmetry, but C is not a cnidarian, it is a mollusk, and mollusk does not show radial symmetry, it is bilaterally symmetrical. Wrong. A and B have nidoblast for self-defense. A is a platyhelminthes and B is a cnidarian. Cnidarians have nidoblast, not platyhelminthes. So this will be again wrong. C and D. This is a mollusk, this is an arthropod. Both of them have true coulomb. Yes, they definitely have true coulomb. Annelida, arthropod, mollusk, echinodermata, chordata, hemichordata, all of them are having true coulombs. So I'll say D is the correct option. Okay? Fine. Fine. I hope this was the major point of confusion when it came. I didn't look at it properly. So yes, I'm so sorry for the trouble caused. I hope you understood it. I'm so sorry for the confusion. Okay, it's humans. Human beings do mistakes, and I hope I rectified it as well. Yeah. Now, and my teeth is paining way too much. So yeah, I got distracted. So in which one of the following organism its excretory organs are correctly stated? Humans, kidneys, sebaceous glands and tear glands. Sebaceous and tear glands cannot be considered as excretory organs, my dear children. So, so I'll say kidney, yes. Earthworm, pharyngeal, integumentary and septal nephridia, yes. Pharyngeal in the pharynx, integumentary in the skin, and septal in the septa that they are having over there. So that is correct. 3 of them are actually correct. Cockroach, Malpighian tubules and Enterixica. Enterixica is a part of digestive system, not excretory system. Frog, kidney, skin and buccal epithelium. Buccal epithelium, my dear children, it's mostly, okay, buccal epithelium is mostly for respiration and feeding rather than excretion. So I'll say this is a 1. This is the one that would be entirely correct. B. 19 is equals to what? B. Now, 20th. Biradial symmetry and lack of nidoblast are the characteristics of. Biradial symmetry you can find it in ctenophores, my dear children. Okay, you can find it in ctenophores and they do not have nidoblast, right? They are not cnidarians. So hydra and starfishes. So hydra is what? A cnidarian. Okay, starfish is an echinodermata. Starfish and sea anemone, my dear children, again wrong. Aurelia and paramecium, again wrong. Aurelia is a cnidarian, paramecium is not. This is coming under, paramecium comes under protozoans, right? So basically over here, what would be your answer? It is Ctenoplana and Bero, which are basically coming under Ctenophora. Works? I hope it works. Chalo. Given below are 4 matchings of an animal and its kind of respiratory organ. Silverfish trachea, scorpion book lung, sea squid pharyngeal slits, dolphin skin. The correct matchings are, what are the correct matchings, my dear children? Any idea? Any idea that you have got? A, B and C, all of them are entirely correct. Silverfish, which is an insect, comes, it has a trachea in it, tracheal system for transportation of oxygen and also respiratory gases. Scorpion has book lungs, we discussed about it earlier also. Sea squid have pharyngeal slits for respiration, nothing else. So your A, B, C is correct. Dolphin, Baba, it's a mammal. Okay, respiration through skin would be very much difficult for it. Okay, it's a very complex organism, it's a multicellular organism which is up there. So yeah. Now, temperature changes in the environment affect most of the animals which are poikilothermic, homeothermic, aquatic and desert living. What is the answer for this particular question? Over here, temperature changes is going to affect the organism, my dear children. Okay, why? Okay, do temperature changes affect us? Okay, we sweat and do things like that, but internally our temperature is going to be remaining the same. Why? Because we have that ability. We are known as homeotherms. We can maintain a constant body temperature. But what about those organisms who cannot actually maintain a constant body temperature? For them it is totally difficult, because all their functions has to happen right properly. So for them it is what difficult, and for them temperature changes would be affecting, and they have to do something about it. For example, it's sunny, they have to go under the tree and bask, okay, or go under the shade, yeah. And if it is it's too cold out there, they have to do something about it as well. You get it? So basically temperature changes in environment affect most of the animals which are poikilothermic. This is what you call it, the ones that cannot maintain a constant body temperature. Okay, and who all come under that? Your fishes comes under that, your amphibians comes under that, your reptiles comes under that. Aves and mammals, they are homeothermic. So your answer is poikilotherms. And with that, we end up animal kingdom as well. I know there are so many other questions as well, but if at all something pops up and you're not able to answer it, okay, there is a lot of confusion, please, as I always say, put it down in the comment section. I am here to help you out. I'll definitely do so. Yes, and do not forget to like, share and subscribe, and also tell it to your friends. There's a NEET channel like this, and definitely we are planning for something big coming around the next year. So be there, stay tuned, and do not forget to subscribe. Yeah, bye-bye. Take care.